Welcome to the Beyond Cinema and Bio.com interview studio up here at TIFF. James, we saw you yesterday. Congrats on having a second film up here at TIFF.
Oh, man.
James, Napier Robertson, congratulations on this film. It's truly, truly special film. And Cliff, amazing performance. Really, truly, really gut-wrenching and heartwarming. Did you know the guy? Did you know Jen before you started this project? Had you ever heard of him before?
Cliff didn't know Jen personally, but for Cliff, Jen, I'll read verbatim for you. Genesis is a beautiful story of a man I never met, except through his wife and son and chosen family noble Keelan and the Jedi of the Eastern Knights Chess Club.
Have you shown the film to them?
Yes.
Were you there when they watched it? And what was their reaction? Peaceful?
They loved it, man.
Yeah.
They loved it. We involved those guys right throughout the whole process. Noble and Nat and Jedi, they were on set while we were shooting the whole time. When I was writing the script, we would constantly be sending the drafts. They would read to kind of help make sure that we were keeping the integrity and the authenticity of the story. And then actually it was one of the most nerve-wracking screenings for me was when we played it for them for the first time, because I was just so hopeful that they would love it, because if they didn't, it felt like the whole thing, what would have been the point in a way, because this is their story.
Yeah.
So but they did, they loved it. Cliff says that he could not have done it without them.
Yeah. And for you, what was your awareness? When did that begin? Did you know of the story of the Eastern Knights earlier, or did someone approach you? How did that work?
So the producer of the film, Tom Hearn, contacted me, and he'd seen a documentary by a guy called Jim Marbrook, and the documentary was called Dark Horse. And Tom, sort of, when he was watching it, had the same reaction I had when I then watched it, which was, this is such an incredible, beautiful story about a real New Zealander, but I'd never heard of it before, and I'd never heard of him. And Genesis, the man, he was one of the most sort of inspiring and incredible people that I'd kind of come across. And so we then got in touch with Jen, and that began, like, you know, what was a really, for me, really special period for about a year of knowing him before he passed away. And I got to play lots of games of chess with him and lose pretty much every single one, and just talk like for ages, and, you know, spend a lot of time with him. And that was just kind of like the story and the script and everything kind of evolved out of that. So yeah, you know, and Cliff learned about via the documentary as well, which, you know, shows the real man who is so complex. Humans you could meet an impossible role. I had to do it. You can see it in his eyes.
Yeah, the transformation that you undertook was pretty amazing. Physically, you know, you walking in here today versus what you see on screen is, you know, obviously a completely different man. When you met with these guys to take on these roles, obviously these guys have worked together before. Did you sit down at a cafe with them, with each of them separately? What did you do?
It was a different thing for each of them. So James, actually, we almost shot the film. We were almost about to shoot the film about a year before we did, and then we kind of got delayed. But when we were about to shoot it, James was the first person that we cast in the film, and basically I was aware of James because of Boy and the film that he was in, and that he was great. But more importantly than that, then you came in and we did a bit of a session and kind of improvised some stuff, and James is just so good, and it was really immediately obvious that, you know, and it's like a hard role, it's a really challenging role, you know, and he was just, he's magnetic. So James was actually attached about a year before almost everyone else. And then the worry for me was, like, we were taking so long that, and you kept like growing up, and I started worrying, man, like, he's going to be too old for the role. And actually, in the end, what I did was I was so keen on you being in it that I kind of massaged the character's age up a little bit and had to actually kind of, as we were getting closer to shooting, the dialogue and everything had to evolve a little bit just to actually kind of stay in sync with what age James was at.
Yeah, and for you, James, like showing these kind of two different sides of someone, like someone who's kind of in this family that's so about a certain type of culture, the leather jackets, kind of motorbike club mentality that's obviously pretty physical, pretty raw, versus kind of having this new father figure come on the scene who's gentle and cerebral. Must have been kind of a cool juxtaposition for you.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was definitely a good challenge for me getting this role, and when I was approached for this role, I was like, man, this is way too heavy for me. I don't know I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, man, what am I getting myself into? And then having James and Tom Hearn, the director, and also Rachel House, she's an actress back home in New Zealand. They just kept supporting me through all the audition phases and all that, and it just built my confidence, and I didn't really want to let this opportunity slip. And then when I heard Cliff was jumping on board, that just boosted me a lot. And through the duration of the shoot, I just learned so much from each and every one. And
I mean, it's a pretty good trifecta, Taika, Toa, and James, for you to have worked with so closely over the last couple of years. Talk to me about, like you say, like when you heard Cliff was coming on board, it meant a lot. Obviously, for those of us who grew up in the region, Cliff's name has been around for a while and means a ton, going back to Once Were Warriors, obviously, as being that kind of thing that launched you internationally. So what does that mean, you know, having Cliff on a project?
Oh, for me, it's just so exciting because you just learn so much from him. And I'll having him on board, I just learned something new from him every day, and having him like so into the character, it helped with my performance as well. Him staying in character through the whole duration of the shoot, even at home, like dressing up as Jen and talking like Jen, like the duration of the shoot. It just really pushed my performance as well, and it felt more real. And I was like really comfortable. I started getting real comfortable, then it just helped me so much.
Did you meet him looking suave and elegant as he does today, or as Jen, like for the first time? Was he already building into that?
Yeah, he was kind of already getting into the groove of it a bit.
James, did you have any idea that he would kind of go? What did you discuss in terms of the physicality of it?
Well, for me, when we first started kind of gently discussing the possibility of working together on it, one of the blockages was that the real Jen was a big guy, and there was something about his physicality that for me was really important. His brother, Claude, said this thing to me once that really stuck with me, where he said with Genesis, so many people, when they saw him coming, all they saw was the freight train coming. What they didn't see was what the freight train was carrying. And this film was about, for me, that kind of like summed up what it was about, this gift that he was carrying. So there was a big part of the physicality of that freight train and of the kind of, impact. For Cliff, the physical transformation was superficial. It was a difficult task to pull off and nothing I wanted to do. The deeper work was understanding the key to the role is through the heart. Genesis was a man of deep and profound love. So, yeah, for me it was important. There were the things that we talked about, and the two things that we really kind of kept knuckling down to was Cliff putting on the weight, which he was not interested in doing, and rightly so. And then also the other thing was I was really keen on Cliff trying method acting with it, to really just actually go there with the role, and that was another thing he wasn't keen on doing. And again, rightly so. And he needed the blessing of his whānau, of his family, to be able to do that. And for Cliff, who at the moment has a vow of silence for a role that he's playing. So that's why I'm helping interpret Cliff's voice via iPad. The courting process was with myself and with Tom Hearn, the producer. It was a challenge. I didn't know myself or Tom, and I was not trusting of them. I'll take that in the nicest possible way. I challenged them, but they rose to the challenge in every way, and now I love them. But yeah, it was a challenge, and I think that was, for me, the physical kind of transmission and the method acting, they felt like they were really important, and so I just kind of kept annoyingly hammering away until in the end it kind of just reached a bit of a, either we're doing it or we're not doing it, and we did it, and I'm really glad.
And in terms of shooting in Gisborne and Auckland, is that like that's where Jen was? That's his turf. Like, what did that add? Being able to kind of be in the kind of real space.
Oh, everything. I mean, when writing the script, I spent a lot of time in Gisborne. When Cliff was going into the role, he spent a lot of time in Gisborne. Other actors, that were on the film, and so then we shot as much as we could in Gisborne, because I mean Gisborne is like a character of the film, so we shot as much as we could down there, and then we had to balance it between shooting some stuff up in Auckland because of budgetary reasons.
Yeah.
But it was so important that Gisborne is living and breathing in this film.
In terms of global context, growing up in New Zealand and the number of films that have come out in the last couple of years, it seems like there's a really good wave of people there, ranging from like the comedy of the Flight of the Conchords guys through to what Toa's been doing for the last dozen years, and obviously Taika and all his Sundance success. What did you guys consume growing up? What was your content? What kind of movies were you guys watching? Was it more American fare, do you think, or were there some Kiwis and some kind of people down there in the Pacific that...
I think, I can only speak for myself personally, but I probably was growing up a bit more influenced by American cinema, because I think it was more prevalent, and the first film that I ever saw in my life was Zulu, which isn't that's Michael Caine, and and then Willow was I think the second film I ever saw, and man, I adored both of them, and then but I think as soon as it's like that thing that I'd say is common for a lot of filmmakers, as soon as I sort of actually started really getting into film, as guys like the Scorseses and the Coppolas and the Altmans as well, that and you just every film you watch and you're just kind of amazed at what they're doing, and then there's a lot of really great Australian filmmakers like Andrew Dominic, whose films blow me away, and then but of course we have some really iconic Kiwi films that absolutely sort of stand the test of time, and there's films like The Piano Amongst Warriors and some Peter Jackson stuff that you really it's we're such a little country, and it's kind of it's still in a way kind of amazes me that we're even on the map, as far as with cinema, but there seems to be this real hunger and thirst for cinema in New Zealand. There's such a kind of passion in the industry, so it's thrilling for myself and for Tom and for us to actually just be a part of that.
Yeah, and Young Jones must be kind of exciting as well, that writing this kind of wave through the last couple of years. Were you interested in pursuing this career earlier, or was it kind of a happy accident along the way?
Oh, there was definitely an accident. I never really thought of it. When I was little, growing up in a real small town, we used to on an adrenaline rush when we were little, so we used to go do something stupid, and then they randomly just getting bored, getting asked in class in school just the casting director coming in and just asking us, we were just bored, so me and my mates just put our hand up, get out of class I suppose, and yeah, we just filmed, and yeah, I got these audition papers, and then yeah, I was over the moon when I got casted for that. I was like buzzing so much, and then...
And you got, you know, when you got cast in Boy, how long was it before you started shooting that you got cast?
Yeah, well, I actually got casted as an extra, and I was like, ran home, man, I'm an extra, because I live with my nan, and I was like, man, like ringing my aunties and uncles that live in Australia, and I'm like, I'm an extra in a film, I'm gonna be in a film, you probably won't see me there, I'll be in the background, and then it was just another normal day at school, and I just went home, and my nan said, oh James, you need to get your gears ready, we have to go down the coast to start shooting in 3 days time, and I was like, oh really? And they were like, yeah, they want you to be the lead actor, the main character, and I was like,
3 days
you don't have
before.
to tell me again, I'm running and packing my bags. I was like, wow, this is just crazy, I can't believe this, and I'm gonna say over the moon.
But it couldn't be happening to a better person.
Cliff says, James Rolleston is my hero, he's the upgrade. He and the other children are the heart of the movie. I met James as a producer on Boy, and it's so rare to see him grow into the young man he is.
I mean, Cliff, you moved out, you know, you kind of pioneered the wave. Like now it seems like there's an Aussie or a Kiwi on just about every TV show in the US. But when you and a couple other Aussies kind of came out, like, you know, Russell and Russell Crowe and all those guys were also just kind of starting out, it was a pretty rare event for Hollywood to kind of pay attention to more of the global scene. You know, what's it for you being able to kind of give back to Kiwi cinema as well?
By the way, I just want to add that Cliff's first film he ever saw was Bruce Lee Into the Dragon.
It fits well with your vow of silence.
Yeah, that's right.
You're adding something else right now?
Simon and Naomi Watts and I had the same manager.
Simon Baker. And home is now Rotorua back in New Zealand. And what's that mean? Like, is that where your family's at as well? Very cool. All right, well, thanks guys for spending a few minutes with us. Again, congratulations on the film. It's a powerful thing, and can't wait to see. Oh, we've got some more iPad action going on for a second. All good?
False alarm.
Awesome. All right, thanks guys.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.